All right, let's go to this conversation now. Tomorrow, President Cyril Ramaphosa expected there to address that inaugural worker share ownership conference in Sandton. And this, of course, when you think about, these initiatives around the share scheme or the share ownership of employees, it's always been the hot potato. And we've seen quite a number of disputes in this particular regard. But also, have there been more success stories given what we've seen in the past? Let's have this conversation now. We speak to my colleague Tshepo Mongoai, SABC News Economics Editor. Tshepo, firstly, let's just start with this, conference. What can we expect? How big of a moment is it that it's happening right now?
Well, I personally think that government will go through a number of those employee share ownership program. They will choose and pick those that think that are among the best, are likely to deliver on their promise, and hail them and praise them as a model that needs to be embraced going forward. They will also look at those companies in their respective sectors that are actually doing well and have exceeded those targets. And of course, they may also shame those, maybe without naming them, that are not doing so good in that particular space.
Now, when it comes in, Tshepo, I mean, you think about the history here. We've seen one thing, for example, you and I were even discussing of is the Kumba iron ore. But also, there's a lot where we've also seen some of the employees calling for this, and they say that for them, they're not even satisfied by what they're being offered, but in some of these cases, they're not getting a return then of the investment. Let's look at the track record of this as a country. How have you done?
I must say lots of mistakes have been committed in that space. They were, big headlines about a 3 billion rand deal or stake that will be offered to employees for almost nothing. They will only have to wait for like 8 years or so. And then come after that vesting period when the time has expired, if I can say that. You find that employees are not getting much. Some of those deals have gone under simply because the previous models, they were linking them to the share performance. And we know that's unpredictable in an ever changing business terrain. And they would go under because they were financed from what would have been accumulated due to the appreciation of the share price. And workers did not fully understand what is this all about. As you pointed out, there were protests that were that happened because after a certain period, workers do expect that they will have ownership of that company. They've seen deals being made in the company, massive deals, but they are told that, look, your deal did not go through. So there isn't, that clear and transparent way of communicating with those workers. So we have seen with the recent deals from 2020 that they were trying to change this. Some deals now are perpetual, meaning that even someone who's joining and was not in the company will benefit. The financing of those deals are linked to the dividend payout. And the dividend payout is not 100% channeled towards the payment of that loan to buy the shares, but there's a portion that is allocated to the participants, a small portion, so that from day one they're able to derive some value. But these are still very new deals in their infancy. Whether come, after the period of vesting, we will see the true value that is derived by those who are participating in these particular deals. But of course, we know the main reason. The reason why companies are doing this is because they want to comply with the broad-based black economic empowerment. And they are doing it because they are forced to do it by government. So we will see with the recent one, we've seen ABSA, Clicks, ShopRite, Capitec. These are recent deals, and hopefully they will be exemplary. We don't know.
So, Tshepo, in the absence of clear explanations to the workers here as to what this actually means and how it's all going to work, one then raises the question, who does it then benefit?
Well, some would say people who are actually structuring those deals, the advisors, benefit the most because they charge a lot of money. Companies make a contribution from their own capital, putting these deals together, and sometimes they also help to finance these deals, not all of them. And of course, the balance is funded through a dividend payouts or shares in some of the deals. So, and of course, in order for these companies to get business, they need to comply with the broad-based Black economic empowerment. And they do, in fact, are able to raise a lot of money because they have their employees as shareholders, you know, and that actually, it looks good. And they're able to seal new business because of that. And in a way, they really benefit from that. Whether at the end of the day, the workers benefit or not, that's another thing. You know, they may not benefit, but they would have derived some value by a better and higher BE score.
It's going to be an interesting one then to see, you know, as you say, what we are taken through when it comes to the history as to what has worked, what hasn't worked, lessons learned, successes and the failures. It'll be interesting then to hear, you know, some of these particular stories coming out from this inaugural Worker Share Ownership Conference, which is at the Sandton Convention Centre. That was my colleague then, Tshepo Mongoai, SABC News Economics Editor.